Today, I want to spend a few minutes talking about change and change management because it's something that we go through in the workplace sometimes on a daily or a weekly basis. And it can be really important and really helpful for leaders to understand what's actually going on behind the scenes, as in like in the psychology of our employees' minds when we are initiating a new change. So I want to introduce you to the Kubler-Ross change curve, which is giving you an indication of the emotional response behind change when we implement something new. So say we as the leadership team have got a new idea for a new service offering that we want to offer, or a new process that we're introducing for how we manage workflow. And this is an example of the stages that we go through. So when we're introducing that new model, the first thing that the team will be thinking is, what's wrong with our old model? So shocked. Like there will be, and some people go through this curve way faster than others, and some people's curve is less extreme. But everyone goes through this in some way or form. Some people just move from shock to integration really quickly. Others get stuck a little bit more on the different stages. And I'm going to share with you what people need at the different stages. So say we've got this example of introducing a new workflow process. The first thing most of the time that people will experience is shock. What's wrong with the old one? I liked the old one. I think it works really well. For some people, there might be a certain then sense of denial, where they'll go, no, I don't think that we need to change it. I think our other one works really well. It's worked well for us the last 5 years, so I don't think we need to change it. And then when they realize that it's actually going ahead, often that there's some frustration. Like, what? This is going to take us so much time. I don't like it. I'm frustrated at this. Then it can hit a point of like, this is where the acceptance piece starts to kick in. Frustration moves into depression, where there can be that sense of, oh God, why do I always have to do what the boss says? Or why do we have to change things? I feel like I don't have a voice here. I feel like everything's always changing. Whatever. There can be some sort of stories that can come up which are aligned with that feeling of depression and low mood and lack in energy. After that piece, the key with that piece is that is where the change is starting to occur, where there is starting to, there's a shift in energy there. And that's where there might be some openness towards actually experimenting with the new idea. And the piece that I actually wanted to add in here is that on the right-hand side, in alignment with the colors, is the strategy that you can use to help move someone through that particular emotion that they're experiencing. So if you've got someone who's in denial and saying, we don't need to change things, what you want to be doing is focusing on how can we get aligned? How can we work together to align towards an outcome that we both share, or a shared goal here. And if they're at the frustration piece, if they're like, no, I don't want to change things, this is a really important piece to maximize communication. There is no such thing as too much communication, right? This is the piece where you want to be really listening to them and their concerns and their fears, and really acknowledging that this is a frustrating and a tricky, new change that they're having to come to terms with, and really just continuing to come back to the why you're doing it in the first place, and what the benefits of this new change will be, but still acknowledging that their emotions are valid here, right? If they're in that depression piece of, often this can be a piece if there's been a lot of rapid change in the organization. There can be like a frustration that kind of turns into a bit of a depression of feeling like they don't have any control and that their voice isn't valid. What you want to be doing at this stage is really re-sparking their motivation. So making sure that you're spending some time reinforcing how much they matter, how important they are to the business, how much you recognize and appreciate their work and their efforts, and making sure that they feel like they've got a sense of autonomy and control in how things move forward, and that they do have a say, and that you really you value their opinion, you value what they have to say. So that's that sparking motivation piece. And always at every step of the process, you're always helping connect them back to the why you're making this change in the first place, what the benefits are, and what the future could look like once the change has been implemented. So if you've been able to re-spark that motivation and they're starting to experiment with a new idea, then it's about helping develop their capability to actually get on board with the new idea. So if it is a new workflow that you're introducing, or a new service offering, this is where you're actually introducing the training and the skills capability piece to get them on board. Often we just jump straight to the develop capability piece, right? Like if we've got a new process, we're like, here's the process, here's how to use it. And we've forgotten about all the other pieces that the team still needs to move through. Because a really important piece to remember in this is, if you as the leader of the business have got a new process or it's something new that you're introducing to the business, you've had loads of time to get used to this new idea. Because you've been thinking about it, right? It's probably been like moving around in your brain, and you've been weighing up the pros and cons of it. You've been doing some research. You've been getting used to the idea, maybe over the last week, 2 weeks, sometimes even months. You introducing this idea to the team, this is the first time they're hearing it. So it's really important to be super patient with them, really compassionate, and to not rush them, and to really like acknowledge that they're going to have similar emotions and a similar journey to what you've already been through, but they're being forced to do it, right, in a shorter amount of time. So lots of compassion for that. So when they get to the decision, so if they've started to experiment, you've started to develop their capability, they're getting to that decision where they're learning now how to work in that new situation. You know, they're getting up to speed with the new process. They're feeling more confident, more capable. This is where you can start to share even more knowledge, so that you can really start to, help them feel like a real master of that new process. And that's what's going to help them really integrate to that new change. And probably, best case solution or best case scenario is that they actually then start to become advocates of the new process themselves. So I hope that's really helpful. It's something that you can take into account when you are actually introducing something new. You can actually think about, how can we address each of these different stages of the change curve? How can we achieve creative alignment? How can we create a shared goal? How can we maximize communication and make sure that we're really hearing the fears and concerns of everyone? And how can we spark motivation? And that motivation piece is really about helping them connect to the why, to the greater purpose, to the benefits, to the positive impact, and really thinking about what's in it for them. What is in it for them? Because that's a question that's always going through our minds, right? Is what's in it for us? So if you can help connect your team's motivation to what's in it for them, the benefits for them, that's how you're going to really help them start to change the direction of the change curve from depression into sort of experimentation and integration.